My parents have been desperately begging me to move back into their house for 6 months, but refuse to explain why they need me there. I finally agreed to visit for a week to figure out what's going on. What I discovered was they don't need help with anything. They just can't handle the fact that I grew up and made choices they didn't approve of. Now they've created an elaborate plan to trap me there permanently. I'm writing this from a hotel room because I literally had to escape from my childhood home in the middle of the night. I'm 32 years old, and I had to sneak out of my parents' house like a teenager because they'd become completely unhinged. I need to tell this story before I second-guess myself because right now half of me thinks I overreacted and the other half thinks I didn't react strongly enough. I'm 32F, and I live in Portland, Oregon. My parents are Diane and Roger, and they're both 64. They live in a suburb of Seattle about 3 hours north of me. I'm an only child, which is relevant to this whole mess. For most of my life, my parents were loving, but controlling. They had opinions about everything I did. What I wore, who I dated, what I studied, where I worked. They weren't abusive, but they definitely had a specific vision for my life. I followed their plan pretty closely until I was about 28. I went to the college they wanted. I got a sensible job in accounting. I dated men they approved of. I called them twice a week. I visited once a month. I was a good daughter by their standards. Then 4 years ago, some things changed. I started dating Kieran, who's a musician. My parents hated him immediately. He had long hair and tattoos, and he worked nights at venues. He was everything they didn't want for me. But he was kind and creative, and he made me happy. For the first time, I chose what I wanted over what they wanted. They made their disapproval very clear. My mom would make comments about Kieran's job prospects. My dad would ask when I was going to date someone serious. They refused to spend time with him. When I brought Kieran to Thanksgiving, they were coldly polite, and my mom cried afterwards saying I was throwing my life away. Then, 2 years ago, I made an even bigger choice they hated. I quit my accounting job to become a freelance photographer. It had always been my passion, but I'd set it aside because my parents said it wasn't practical. But I was miserable in accounting, and Kieran encouraged me to follow my dreams. I built up my portfolio and client base, and I made the jump. My parents were furious. They said I was being irresponsible and immature. They said Kieran was a bad influence.